Berurah, Siman Mem Zayin, and we started Seif Yud. We focused more on reading the Seif and discussing the hashkafic point of it based on the understanding of Rabbeinu Asher Rosh, that a person's mindset is always, a Jew's mindset is always on learning, and hence the difference between this bracha and all the other brachot that we have, that even though that by other brachot you would be considered a hefsek if you say a bracha in the morning and then go to your work and come back, by this one, because your mind is always on learning, it would not be considered necessarily a hefsek. Now let's actually see the halachic ramifications of it. We'll read the language of Maran again. If you stopped learning, when it asek ba'asakav, you went to do your things. Because your mind is on coming back to learn, lo heveh hefsek, that will not be constituting a hefsek. It's not going to be considered halachic hefsek. Vehu adin leshena. Same halacha would be if you fell asleep in your office, you put your head on your hand. We're not talking about the case that you changed your pajamas and you went to your bed, or you went to your bed without pajamas even. We're not talking sleeping on bed necessarily. You fell asleep, you took a power nap on your table, putting your hand, your head on your hand and falling asleep. That also is not considered a hefsek. Same as with going to bathroom or going even to take a shower, is not considered a hefsek. Says the Magen Avraham, brought in Mishna Berurah Seif Katan Chavbet, Mashma de'im, the Misha ein darko lilmod v'nimlach lilmod. When Maran says kevan shedato, that because your mind is to come back and daven and to learn rather, then you don't have to say bracha again. The Magen Avraham says, you see from the language of Maran, that if your mind is not to come back and learn, you're not a person that learns in the afternoon, but the rabbi forced you to come. So come today, we'll have sushi, right? And you came. If it's not your regular minhag, you have to say new bracha. What's the difference between this and anything else that you would have a hefsek? It has to be a person that normally he learns. So when he says the bracha early morning, he says, okay, I'm going to be going to the shiur now, learn after shaharit now. Then I'm going to go to work, and I know in the afternoon I'm going to come back to learn. I have a seder, I have a chavruta. That is considered a hemshech, a continuity for the bracha. But if you never learn in the afternoon, and now today you want to learn, you have to say new bracha, says the Magen Avraham. That's not the halacha. The Taz disagrees with him. The Taz in our Siman, in Seif Katan Chet, he writes exactly the opposite. From the fact that Maran does not write, if your mind is on learning afternoon or after you work, then you don't say bracha. It doesn't say that. It just says because your da'at is to come back. That means everyone's da'at is to come back. That means a regular person is considered that they always want to learn whenever they get the chance. And therefore, says the Taz, you don't say a bracha. This is very interesting because we paskin basically like the Taz, and even the Gra, the Vilna Gaon, who understands the language of Maran, like the Magen Avraham, not like the Taz. Earlier on, he paskins the halacha that safek brachot la'akel, you don't say another Birkat Torah. Therefore, the halacha for all practical purposes is that when you say bracha in the morning, it's sufficient until you go to sleep at night, unless you have one of the halachic hefseks, which we are going to discuss. But the regular day, you go through the day, is not considered. Even if you put your head on the thing and you fell asleep, it's still considered good. Now, the Kaf HaChaim says, Yaakov Chaim Sofer, he says once there's machloket, every morning when you say a bracha Birkat Torah, you should have in mind that even if I stop, even if I go to work and my mind goes off of it, my kavanah is to learn any minute of the day that I can. Therefore, my bracha should extend itself to the evening time, the night time, until I go to sleep, my bracha should be considered on all of them. Says the Kaf HaChaim say that have a kavanah and you can make a tanai once in a year, but it's better to always have it in mind. But you can make a tanai once. Whenever I sleep because of Torah, I want it to be on everything. That's my kavanah. Any minute of the day that I can learn, I want to learn, and that would be considered a sufficient kavanah. Now, how about some people when they put their head on their hand, they can't fall asleep more than 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then you have some people who could sleep for 4 hours on their hand. And they get up, they say, they slept the whole night on their hand. So how about if you have a person like that? He went to sleep, mamash shenat keva, a set sleep on his hand. Is that considered a hefsek or not? Says the Kaf HaChaim, even if you have a person that can sleep for hours on his end, is not considered shenat keva. Something that's not in your bed, you're not setting yourself up to sleep properly in the bed like a mensch, that's not considered shenat keva. It doesn't take away from Birkat Torah. Haravadia also says the same thing. This is really relating to the next Seif we're going to study right now together. But Haravadia also writes, he has a long tshuva on this subject in Yabia Omer Chelek Chet, the 8th volume of Yabia Omer in Siman Hey. And Haravadia writes, if you sleep on your hand, if you sleep by the office, that's not considered Shenat Keva. Even if you slept for a good amount of time, a good chunk of time, still is not considered Shenat Keva, has nothing to do with your Birkat Torah. You wake up, you can go learn without a bracha. Now, how about if a person goes in bed and sleeps nicely during the day or during the night even? Sometimes, people want to be awake for Shavuot night, so they make the mistake of going to sleep at night, and then they come to shul by Chatzot. They don't realize that the entire point of Shavuot, not the entire, but the main point of Shavuot is from when the night sets in until Chatzot. That's the main part of Shavuot. And that's the part that they're sleeping, right? The whole thing of Shavuot is you don't want to sleep until the morning. So you wake up, they stay awake the entire, but if somebody does that, so is that considered that they wake up, they have to say bracha, or you go to sleep the day of Erev Shavuot, very soon, and you want to stay up, or the day after Rosh Hashanah Rabbah, you crash and you have to sleep for hours on bed. When you wake up, do you say another Birkat Torah again or no? So says Maran, Seif Yud Aleph, Shenat Keva Bayom Al Mitato. If a person goes to sleep, Shenat Keva, you set yourself up to sleep, you get into pajamas, you go to bed. Have hefsek. That Maran says is considered a hefsek for Birkat Torah. You wake up, you have to say a new bracha Birkat Torah. V'yesh omrim de lo hefsek. And there are those who say, no, it's not a hefsek. So Maran says, stam v'yesh. It's considered a hefsek. There are those who say it's not a hefsek. Normally speaking, when you have stam v'yesh, halakha is like what? Stam. When Maran brings a halakha, and then he says there are those who say not like that. Halakha is like the first one, but over here is a little different. Maran says at the end, Vechen nahagu. The minhag of people is that even if you went during the day to your bed and you slept a good chunk of time, still they don't say Birkat Torah again. So how does that unfold in a halachic reality? Says the Lechem Chamudot, and Mishna Berurah brings this in Seif Katan Kafei. V'li nir'eh she'amevarech tavo alav bracha. He says if you say bracha, tavo alav bracha. It's good. It's better to say bracha. V'chen nahag mori mahari levarech. Says my Rebbe also used to say bracha if he went to sleep on his bed during the day. V'chen iskima pri chadash. You know who agrees with this? The holy pri chadash. You know who the pri chadash was? Pri chadash was Rabbi Chizkiah di Silva. He was born in Italy. He grew up in Italy. He was 20 years old when he traveled to Eretz Israel to become a part of the yeshiva of Maharam Galanti, Rabbi Moshe Galanti. Rabbi Moshe Galanti, he was a tremendous posek. He was a mekubal. He was considered the Talmid of Arizal in Kabbalah, but he was Talmid of Maran Shulchan Aruch in Halacha, and he was musmach from Maran, and he was the first one of the Shalshelet of Rishonei LeZion. In other words, Rishon LeZion right now is semi-political job, is attached with the Medina, with the government of Eretz Israel, and it's not necessarily that Chachmei Israel get to choose who is going to be the Rishon LeZion. You have to be political. You have to be, certain criterias to pass in order to be part of people who could pass for being Rishon LeZion. But in the time of Maran, it was not like that. All the Chachmei Israel would get together and they would appoint the best, the highest level of Torah scholarship as the Rishon LeZion. So all the Rishonei LeZion were tremendous Talmidei Chachamim. We're talking about Rit Al-Ghazi and tremendous people, the Pri Adama. These are top-notch Talmidei Chachamim. So he became a student of Maharam Galanti, Rabbi Moshe Galanti. And he unfortunately passed away at a very, very young, tender age, but he was a tremendous Talmidei Chacham to the degree that I believe the Ziv Chesed writes, whenever Maran does not have a psak and Pri Chadash has a psak, we accepted the psakim of Pri Chadash. It's like the secondary to Maran Shulchan Aruch. And the only reason we don't trump Maran because of him is because Kibalnu Horaot Maran. To me, Pri Chadash is like one of the Rishonim. It's tremendous. The Sfarot Yisharot, straight, strong. And he also says over here that he used to say bracha if he went to sleep on his bed during the day. Okay, so what's the halacha? Says the Mishna Berurah. V'chen katav agra. The Vilna Gaon also passes like that. V'chen eticha chaya adam lehalacha. And Chaya Adam brings this lehalacha as well, that the minhag is to say the bracha, v'hamevarech lo yifsid. If you said bracha, you haven't lost anything. But when it comes to the Sephardi poskim, the shalshelet, the chain, the unbroken chain of the Sephardi poskim, the Ben Ish Chai, the Kaf HaChaim, they say that even if you went to sleep on your bed, but it was during the day, not during the night, is not considered Shinat Keva that would require another bracha. Therefore, you don't say another Birkat Torah. And Chacham Ovadia, in that Shuvah that I mentioned in Chelek Chet Siman Hey, Rabbi Omer also conquers paskins like that as well. But you see, Pri Chadash, the Vilna Gaon, the Rabbah, many tremendous Chachamim, the paskin a person should. So what's the the way out? The way out is if a person could be mechaven at least during Arvit by Avat Olam, that the bracha that they say, brachat Birkat Avat Olam, should also cover their Birkat Torah when they want to learn afterwards. And this way they could learn a little bit immediate after Tefillah, as we mentioned before, and that would cover their Birkat Torah as well. But nevertheless, the Ben Ish Chai, the Kaf HaChaim, Chobadia, Or Letzion, Shaul, all of them say during the day, even if you went to sleep on your bed, lemaaseh, you don't say Birkat Torah because safek brachot la'akel. Safek brachot la'akel, especially when Maran says the minhag is not to say the bracha, we follow that and we continue it, and that's really the halacha. One more Seif here, Seif Yud Bet. Maran writes, Afim lomed balayla. If you're learning at night, so there would be room to say, wait, in Judaism, day is nimshach achar hayom nimshach achar halayla. Day follows the night. So it's a new day. Night is a new day. So maybe I should say a new bracha. Says the Shulchan Aruch, no. Halayla holech achar hayom. by Birkat Torah is the opposite. The night goes after the day, not the day after the night. So up until the moment that you set yourself to go to sleep and you fall asleep, your Birkat Torah that you said in the morning still is effective. And therefore, any time that you haven't gone to sleep, you don't have to say a new bracha, and you could continue to learn even at night with the same bracha that you said during the morning time. Says the Mishna Berurah to that, Chafetz Chaim writes, it means even if you didn't learn anything during the day, you only have a night seder. In the morning after Shacharit, you ran to your job, to your work, and now you're coming at night, especially in the winter time. Night is pretty early. So the first time you sit to learn is night, you say, wait, maybe the bracha in the morning was not even chal on anything. I didn't learn the whole day. So maybe I should say new bracha. The chidush is even in that case, says the Mishna Berurah, you don't say another bracha. She'avar shkol zman shehu ne'or mutar alav lilmod kol zman sheyesh lo pnai. Because a person is obligated to learn Torah any minute of the waking minute that he has during the day, so long as he hasn't gone to sleep. If you have a minute, you got to learn. So therefore, the night goes after the day, not the day after the night. That's the reason that the night follows the day in this specific case. We discussed already to Seifim ago that hefsek, pausing in the middle, is not considered a halachic pause when it comes to the halachot of Birkat Torah. Shelo yashen. So therefore, any time before you go to sleep at night, you don't need to say nu bracha. It means when you go to sleep at night, as a set time to sleep, you're going to sleep. That's it. Aval im yashen shnat keva al mitato afilu b'tchilat halayla. Even in the beginning of the night, if you went to sleep, you fell asleep, that's considered hefsek. Afilu hayesh omrim sh'seif yud aleph modu baze. Everybody agrees with this, right? Ve'im haya ne'or kol halayla. If you stayed up the whole night, Shavuot night, you didn't go to sleep. Or Sharab night, you didn't go to sleep. Then what? Yesh omrim den sarich levarech b'boker. There are those who say, you don't have to say Birkat Torah in the morning anymore because you didn't go to sleep. Your mind has been since yesterday morning, right? Your mind has been. Rabbi David Yosef once told me Monday morning after Shacharit, his father told me, he says, since Shabbat I haven't slept. He said, Abba, Lama, why didn't you go to sleep? He says, I forgot to sleep. Right? You love to learn so much. You come home, you start writing, and learning and writing. And before he knew it, it was Rabotenu Higi Azman Kriyat Shema Shel Shacharit. Had to go, give shiurim, go to the betin, go do his things. Again, he came at night, started writing, he forgot until the morning. So if you have a case like that, there are those who say, En sarich levarech b'boker, v'yesh omrim sarich levarech. And there are those who say, no, you have to say bracha in the morning, ki kav'u chachamim, because chachamim set up this halacha, that you say a bracha bechol yom dumya deshar brachot. It's like a Birkat HaShachar, that you say the bracha every morning, regardless of if you went to sleep or not. So even though that technically you were not mafsid, technically you did not stop and pause, you still would have to say Birkat HaShachar, and therefore you would have to say Birkat Torah as well together with them. The Mishna Berurah paskins safek berachot la'akel. Mishna Berurah says you don't say bracha, right? Now, this is very not simple because the Sfaradim, the Sfardi Poskim, the Ben Ishchai, Kaf HaChaim, Chacham Obadia, they all say, if you stay up the entire night, you have to say Birkat Torah. And Obadia Yosef also passes Alav Shalom like this. Therefore, he was finding yeshiva in the morning. Always the Ashkenazim would come from the main Beit Midrash. They come to the Sfardi Minyan. Those who were up, so you have Kavanah, the Sfardi would say bracha, and they would have, you would become Shabbat Goy. Like they say the bracha, and you'll be motzi the Ashkenazim as well, who were machmir It's hard to say machmir or mekel, who were noheg like the Mishna Berurah, safek brachot lakel, but nevertheless they wanted to be yotze with, with the safek that there is in the poskim, and since the Or Sion, Chacham Obadia, the Ben Ish Chai, the Kaf Chaim, the old paskin, and the minhag has been like that as well. We don't say safek brachot lehakel, and the reason is because the minhag has been like this, and you don't say safek brachot lehakel keneged a minhag. Therefore, the Sfaradim are allowed to say a Birkat Torah. They should say Birkat Torah like the minhag, and the Ashkenazim, the hachra'ah of Mishna Berurah has been safek brachot lehakel, ach im efshar lo yireh lishma Birkat Torah me'acher. Says the Mishna Berurah, if you can, see if you could find a Sfardi to be mechaven for you, to have you in mind, and then you'll have in mind as well to be yotze. V'yomar lo sheyechaven lo'otzio b'Birkat Torah, v'hu yechaven latzet v'yaneh amen. And then afterwards you say some psukim. So it says you'll be yotze, you'll fulfill your safek brachot with listening to another person that is saying the bracha. And the last case that he brings, Mishna Berurah, is Im haya yashen b'yom shnat keva al mitato b'layla sha'acharav haya ne'or kol halayla. If you went to sleep preemptively, right, because you know you're going to stay up the night of Shavuot afterwards, the night of Hoshana Rabbah afterwards, and then you stayed up the entire night until the morning, pasak ha'gaon Rabbi Akiva Iger, the bazel kul alma sarich nevarech baboker birkat Torah. Then he says even the Ashkenazim have to say birkat Torah. So therefore, in most cases nowadays that people go to take a nap during the day to prepare themselves for Hoshana Rabbah, to prepare themselves for Shavuot, in that case, even the ones who follow the Mishnah Berurah, the Ashkenazi community, also would say birkat Torah based on this. Rabbi Akiva Eiger, ve'en birkat avat olam shel arvit poteret im lo lamad miyad achar tefillah. It says you should say bracha and not rely on the bracha of avat olam at night. There is more to be discussed at this Seif, but Hashem, we will continue this in the days to come.